Welcome to the Adjunct CEO podcast with your host, the Adjunct CEO, Dean Akers. Tips, ideas, and interviews with top leaders to help you and your business when results matter.
Well, good afternoon. This is Dean Akers, your Adjunct CEO, welcoming you back to this week's episode number 16. Of our podcast series. This is a new one for us because we're actually going to be going live. This is our first Facebook Live, so I hope everybody enjoys it out there. I've got some folks joining us right now. One of my dearest friends from way back when, Frankie Vandenboe, is on board, a couple others. But what we're going to talk about today is working on your business or in your business. I've helped a lot of companies grow over the last 35, 40 years, and one of the biggest things I've found is most people, when I go in and they say, hey, Dean, how do you grow businesses to plus 100 million in sales and do it in such short time? What's your secret to those kind of successes? Well, probably the biggest thing is on the business versus in the business. When I go out and start visiting with my entrepreneur friends, and I've been doing a lot lately with my adjunct CEO, they'll give me a call and they'll say, hey, Dean, come on out and visit. So I go out and we sit down and I go, how's everything going? And they go, well, it's going good. I want to grow my business. And of course we have some techniques there. And I really want to, get my hands around on how I could make my business more profitable. And, my people, I got to get that figured out. They're not really doing a good job. So what I find is most entrepreneurs work in their business. Now, how do you know if you're working in your business or you're working on your business? Well, it's pretty simple. One of my entrepreneurs recently, we were talking about people he was hiring, and he was telling me about his team, and he was telling me, my so-and-so wants to hire so-and-so, and I'm not sure it's the right hire, and I'm trying to help her. In fact, I interviewed the lady, and I don't know if I kind of told my lady I don't want to hire her. And my first comment was, why are you talking to her? Now, as a CEO of a company that's had as many as 800 employees, I generally have no more than 2, maybe 3 direct reports. Now you say, well, how in the world do you do that? It's because you have to empower your organization, you have to hold them accountable, and they have to own it. And in this particular instance, this particular lady that was wanting to hire this other person, when the owner of the company kind of intervened and said, I don't think you ought to hire her, immediately, if he puts somebody in there, that lady's going to always be questioning that decision. So here's what the outcome was. I ended up getting on the phone. I said, could I call her? And I called her up and I asked her, I said, I understand you're getting ready to hire somebody, and that's awesome. Do you have an understanding of what we're trying to do as a company? And she goes, what do you mean? I need help. And I go, okay, we're a small company now, and I got you need help. How well do you think you're doing in your position? She goes, I think I'm doing really well. And I asked her, I said, I basically said, I'm going to give you one better than that. You're doing awesome. As a matter of fact, you're a rock star, and you're one of the foundations of our company as we want to grow, and we're small now. And do you have any aspirations of wanting to grow with our company? And she says, oh, absolutely. I love this company. I could see some great things. And I said, well, then let me help you. Would you be interested in some help and coaching on how we can all grow this company? And she said, yes. So I asked her, the person you're hiring, have you created an outline for her on what you want her to accomplish? And she goes, what do you mean an outline? Have you actually sat down and said, okay, if we grew, and in my position, if we're now a $2.5 million company and we were a $100 million company, how different would it look? And she said, well, I don't know. And I go, well, if we're a $100 million company, can you handle everything we need to do as a $100 million company by yourself and this one person? And she said, well, that would be impossible. So I shared with her some of the journeys of some of the folks that are even joining me now on Facebook Live. They know that when they're on the onset and the birth of a company, one of the coolest things about being involved in this company that you're growing with is when you're on the early side of it, there's unbelievable opportunities for your personal growth and professional growth. So when I shared it with her, she said, well, what are you trying to share with me? And I said, well, let me ask you this. Are you hiring your replacement? And she goes, I hadn't thought about it. And I said, well, if you're going to be the head of our call center group in the next 5 years, is this person going to be your right hand in the call center group? She goes, well, I don't think she could do it. And I said, well, then would you really want to hire her knowing that she can't take you all the way to the end game? And she thought about it and she said, no, you're absolutely right. If I hire her, I've got to keep doing this and she's going to backfill me. I said, so you're right. You want to hire people. So at the end of the day, she's hired this person. She's now making changes. She's growing. But the lesson here was to the entrepreneur. So when we got done, I called the entrepreneur and I said, she's going to hire. And he said to me, well, I'm not sure she's going to be effective. And I go, that's not your role right now, because it's not an impactful decision today. The most impactful decision today is for us to get you working on the business, not in the business. And in order to grow this business to be a $50 or $100 million company, which by the way, it can be, and it's in a space that it can be, then we've got to put you as the CEO where you're empowering your people, you're putting specific responsibilities on them and specifically reporting initiatives back to you with timelines and what their goals and responsibilities are. Have you done that? Does anybody on Facebook Live want to guess what that was? No, he had not done it. So at the end of the day, we sat down and we're outlining this. And as adjunct CEO, that's one of my favorite things in growing companies is getting people empowered in their role and in turn starting to help them really be in a big impact for their companies. Now, he has started letting go. And as he's letting go, his people are starting to rise to the occasion. And I can see visibility for him to be a very large, successful company that is highly profitable, that will have a great exit opportunity for him in 3 to 5 years. Now, he and I are still working on it. And we're working every day to remind him to work on the business, not in the business. So many of my entrepreneur buddies or my adjunct CEO clients, the biggest thing I'm doing besides eliminating self-talk is getting them to work on their business versus in their business. And my favorite one is they go, well, Dean, I don't have time. And I asked them, I said, this is one of the funniest things to me personally. When I hear people say they don't have time, it is the only thing that is universal. Our height aren't the same, our weight isn't the same, our looks aren't the same. The only thing that is universal for us is time. And there's only 2 days. There's only 2 days that time is different. That's the first day in and the first day out. And when you get that figured out, then you're going to understand that Bill Gates, other successful business people have the same 24 hours that you and I do. What's the difference is they work on their business, not in their business. And we have a great story here in the Tampa Bay area. Years ago, these 3 gentlemen, 2 of them, and then brought another man in, started a little steakhouse on Henderson Boulevard here in Tampa. And I tell this story to lots of people because when I get out and speak to CEO groups, these men understood working on their business and empowerment. And over the next 10 years, they grew a restaurant on one street to a restaurant empire called Outback Steakhouses and ultimately booming brands. Now, do you think those guys ended up doing that and are really poor after that experience? No, they own jets. They are smart people. Oh my God. Did they have more hours in a day than you did or I do? The answer is no. They have the same exact hours we do, but they are masters at working on their business. And Chris Sullivan and Bob Basham and the whole team, they're doing it again with other companies. So they get working on the business versus in the business. However, there's restaurants here in Tampa. Friends of mine that have one little restaurant and they struggle. They go, oh man, how can I grow? They're always working in their business. They're not working on the business. So my big question today for each and every one of you out there on my podcast and stuff is ask if you are working in the business or on the business. I wanted to show you a book. It's over in my bookshelf, but it's a book that is required reading. And if you haven't read it, I'd go buy a copy of it today. And that book is The E-Myth. The E-Myth. Buy The E-Myth. Take the time to read it. And if you're telling yourself, oh, Dean, I don't have time. Are you crazy? Then I have another tip. Take your iPhone out. Take your iPhone out and put it on your timer. It's a little device here, and it looks like this on your iPhone. It's your timer. And all you do is you set it to, this is crazy. I do this all the time. I mean, everybody tells me they don't have enough time. So I set it to 10 minutes, and bingo, it starts counting down. Now, if you and we just sat there quietly for 10 minutes, you're going to find that's a lot of time. Now, if you take 10 minutes a day and work on your business or work on your personal stuff and figure out what you want to do and how you want to be a little bit better than, I can promise you, read the E-Myth for 10 minutes a day. It'll help you. That's 60 hours a year, 60 hours a year that you're going to pick up just by 10 minutes a day. So don't tell me you don't have time. Everybody has time. And so the message today, and by the way, if you need help or you want to brainstorm this over the phone, call me at help@adjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com. That's not a call, by the way, it's an email. Email me and I will call you and give you an over the phone 10 or 15 minute kind of briefing on this for free to help you out. That's how big this is. And when you learn to work on your business versus in your business, you're going to find more time for your pleasure, your fun times, your times to vacation. But more importantly, you're going to create an empowered environment to grow your business and hyper grow it. And when you look at your math on how big your business could possibly be, and you take the market shares you have, so far, I've never had anybody that has this humongous market share that can't grow their business to $100 million plus. So the message today is look in the mirror, make sure you're working on your business and not in your business. If you have a question and you want some advice, you reach out to me at help@adjunctceo.com. That's help@adjunctceo.com. And oh, by the way, I really encourage you to go to iTunes or Stitcher or any of those and look at the Adjunct CEO podcasts, or not look at them, but listen to them, because I have 15 episodes out there, and I'm really proud right now that we've had thousands and thousands of downloads, but even crazier, in 30 countries, 30 plus countries. In fact, shout out to the Irish. They're my number 2 country. Go figure. I don't know what's going on there. So until we meet again, I want to tell everybody, thank you for participating. Thank you for being part of my first Facebook Live. If it was worthwhile, or you have any thoughts and ideas for shows, let me know. I'm going to start doing Facebook Live a little more, because I think this is a venue that I can help more and more people. And till we talk again, have a great day. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you have any questions or need some help, just email help@adjunctceo.com. Thanks for tuning in.